Hey, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We are covering one of our many individual webinars that is going to cover a topic. This one is very interesting in the fact that it's life as a graduate student, actually hearing from our students, not needing input from me per se. I am going to cover kind of the first couple of slides, and then I'll pass it on to our students to cover a number of different questions that I have put up on the slide that we have used that cover any amount of information. Keep in mind that we will take your questions, so you can put those in the chat session. And again, at the end, we will unmute and I'll stop recording and you guys can ask questions more directly at that time. So for the content today, we're going to do an agenda that's going to talk about the student life and the experiences of the student. So we're going to start with the curriculum. I'm going to go over kind of what we look like between tracks and concentrations. And then I'm going to run it over to the students and talk about how they chose their areas of focus, kind of that adjusting to grad school. What are the expectations from faculty? What do classes look like? How much time they spend studying? We'll also cover the capstone projects, which is our sub-in for what some programs do as a thesis base. We do not. We do a practical capstone project where you're consulting with a client. We'll then talk about the different resources that we provide our students, how much they've utilized them, what those look like. We'll talk about internships and using, again, the Career Services Office, opportunities that they can get involved in a number of different organizations and events that happen here, living in Bryan College Station and what that looks like, how much rent may run, how they get around for transportation, and then some just general advice. What I wish I knew earlier, some advice they can offer you. They can start then answering any of your direct questions that we may not have covered earlier. So I'm going to take a moment and ask the students that are presenting here if they will unmute, starting with Adam and then Lauren and Allie, and just tell a bit about what you're studying in your track and concentration, and maybe something unique about yourself, where you're coming from, something interesting about you, and then we'll then go back into the next slides and get started. So Adam, off to you.
All right, howdy. My name's Adam Paris. I'm a second year Master of International Affairs student. I'm on the National Security and Diplomacy track. As you guys can see, and my concentrations are intelligence, China and Indo-Pacific, and as well as grand strategy and defense policy. I'm actually originally from Minnesota, and I did my undergrad here at A&M, so I have kind of the experience of being an out-of-state student and coming into the Aggie family and also kind of getting incorporated into that. So if you guys have any questions about what it's like to be from out of state and how like the stuff works with that and how you get plugged into a community here, I'd love to talk to you guys about that.
Great. I'm Lauren Bogue. I'm an MIA student at the Bush School. So my tracks are national security and diplomacy. My concentrations are in intelligence, and then the Europe, like Russia concentration. I'm originally from Colorado, and my undergrad, I went to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. So yeah, just like Adam, if you have any questions about coming from out of state, I can answer those.
Yeah, hi. My name's Allie Serling. I am an MPSA student, so on the other track, and I'm studying public management, and my concentration is in state and local government. I came right out of undergrad here at A&M and went into my master's. So if anyone else is an A&M student or even just coming right out of undergrad, that's my experience.
Thanks, Allie. All right, I'm going to start off with just two slides that talk about our program to kind of give you that background, the customization of the courses. So we're going to start with Allie's area here, the Master of Public Service with tracks and concentrations. So students coming into this program will need to declare a track. It is required. The concentrations that are listed after that are elective. Now, many of our students do choose an area because they are trying to develop specialties or go into a certain career path. But if they choose to do something unique that's not on this list, they can create their own by working with their advisor and with their department to put something together. As an example of that, we've had students who are studying transportation issues. Maybe they grew up in Houston and really dealing with all the traffic and how we can mitigate some of that. Texas A&M does have a transportation institute here. There's others that have worked on more social sciences kind of work. So maybe working with housing, maybe working with education access. So there's all kinds of ways that we can get into this. So before I move on to the next one and talk about MIA, Allie, I was going to ask you, when coming here, did you already know what you wanted to exactly focus on? Or did that flush out in working with your colleagues or you're taking classes? How did that work?
Yeah, no, I came in thinking I was going to be nonprofit management. And then I was like, wait, I think I kind of like the government more than I thought I did. Same with state and local. When I did think of government, I was like, oh, it's Fed. And then I was like, wait, this local thing is kind of interesting too. So you definitely figure it out by talking to professors or even just like getting to start interacting with your courses.
Okay, great. And we'll have another opportunity to talk more about that transition and maybe how you figured in where you are. But let's go ahead and talk about MIA and the tracks and concentrations for that program. And in the international affairs, tracks again are required. You must declare whether you're national security and diplomacy or international development and economic policy. But keep in mind that even as you declare one, you're not locked out of the other side of the house. So you, through your concentrations, can still take any number of these courses. Now, the reason that I listed them the way I did underneath their track is because in your concentrations, you must take at least one listing, like a concentration under that heading. So for instance, if you're national security and diplomacy, you might choose international law and organizations as one of your national security and diplomacy concentrations. But your second concentration can now be any of these that are listed, including the regional studies. And you have room to make a third one if you so choose. So while the MPSA had concentrations electives, MIA, you have to do two. And to fulfill that concentration, you have to do at least 3 courses under that heading. And there are a number of courses that are cross-listed. So even if you take it and then later on decide, oh, man, I think I want to switch to a different concentration, you're probably not losing that class because it's probably going to be cross-listed under another one that could still work very well. So now that I've said that, Adam, I'm going to have you and who's our other one? Other one, talking a little bit about what you guys did in coming in and how you chose. Sorry, Lauren, I know who it is. What you were going to do for your concentration. So if you'll just unmute and do that, and then you're taking it from here, Adam. I'm just here to move the slides.
Okay, yeah. So when I came in, the big thing that I kind of looked for in choosing my concentrations was I looked at the course listings under each concentration, and I looked at the kind of the title of those courses and kind of thought, like, is this something I'm going to be interested in? Is this something that I think is going to be applicable to my career, and what I want to do? And so I found a lot of interest in like some of it was personal interest, right? So like my regional concentration, China, Indo-Pacific, that was something that was kind of personal for me, just because I really like Chinese culture, and I know like obviously it's a very important region in the world, um, and so that was kind of the way that I figured it. You can kind of tailor it to what your interests are, and so I think that's something that's really unique that a lot of people will do, is they'll actually make their own concentration. I've known people who will make like an Africa concentration, or they will make like a journalism concentration or a terrorism concentration. So it is kind of a pick your own adventure sort of thing. You're not necessarily like pinned into the concentrations that are just listed here. It is kind of a choose your own adventure thing. Mine just happened to align very well with the ones that they had already listed, and that's what you'll commonly see with like a lot of people here. But Lauren, what was your kind of experience with that?
Yeah, I had a similar experience to that. I kind of knew coming in that I wanted to do intelligence as an instrument of statecraft, just because that's something I think the Bush School offers. That's a very unique program compared to a lot of other universities. So I really was interested in that. And then the same thing for my concentration in Europe. I kind of tailored my concentration a little bit to focus mostly on Eastern Europe and Russia with a few specific classes that I was able to take with that concentration specifically. But again, you can create your own. I had a friend last year who had a great power competition concentration where he was able to do a lot of regional studies based off of China and Russia and in the Middle East. And that was something he did, and it worked out fine. You can make up whatever you want, really, as long as it fits within your studies.
Yeah, so just going on and talking about like adjusting to grad school and how it's kind of different from undergrad. I'll just talk a little bit about my like typical weekly schedule, and then I'll ask Lauren and Allie too. But what you'll typically see with a lot of your classes is that they're about 3 hours long once a week, which is very different than a lot of undergrad programs where you'll have it 3 or 2 times a week for 50 minutes or an hour. And I think that was probably the biggest adjustment with the weekly schedule was having these 3 hour blocks of times for once a week for a class. But it also, I think, does afford some more flexibility because you'll see like a lot of people will do two classes twice a week. And so they have 3 days off a week that they're free to work on homework or do like whatever that they need to do. You'll see some people like I typically try to do like 2 class days a week where I have one class, and then I do like one day where I have two classes, just to kind of spread it out a little bit. But then you still get those 2 days a week that you're able to use for whatever you need to do. If you need to catch up on a particular class or you have a certain assignment that's more pressing, or like for me for work, working for Miss Meyer. But so that's kind of what you'll see with the typical week schedule. A lot of people also incorporate a lot of things like their extracurriculars, like intramurals and clubs and things like that, into that, and that's usually very flexible with the class schedule. Um, but yeah, Lauren and Allie, what do you guys kind of think? Lauren, you go first, and then Allie.
Yeah, the biggest adjustment I think was like you said, having a 3 hour long time block for classes, which I think can seem a little intimidating at first, sitting in the same classroom for 3 hours listening to a professor. But the professors here are really good about making sure we have breaks, making sure the classroom conversation is flowing and very engaging. So you're not just sitting there listening to a straight lecture, maybe like you would have in undergrad. And yeah, I think you hit on it perfectly for your typical week schedule. You can try and condense all of your classes into the first part, have time for homework in the second part, and then still have your weekend to relax and have fun and enjoy Aggie life here. Homework load, how different that is in undergrad. The biggest difference is going to be the amount of readings you have to do. I think in undergrad, a lot of the focus sometimes is on busy work and homework with a lot of repetition. But for grad school, you're reading, books for classes, and it's important that you're prepared for that. But I think the class schedule allows you to be that's certainly something you can accomplish. And then Allie, if you want to talk about that for essays.
Yeah, I completely agree. Essays on average read less than IAs, but I think what I underestimated going into grad school is just the amount of time that you spend thinking as well. Like, because you have the 3 hours, it's not necessarily surface level. And so like taking the time in my week to like actually think about what I'm reading too and how I'm applying it to what I'm learning. Um, but yeah, the typical week schedule is pretty same. I know a lot of bushies who are all working as well. Like I work 2 jobs actually. And so like I do my classes in 2 days and then do work in the other days. But you find what works for you. What's nice is having 24-hour access to the building. So some people like that nighttime work in the building.
Yeah, so just kind of going on to talk about the rest of the kind of questions and points that we have on this slide. I think that for the homework, it's very different, and this kind of goes hand in hand with the practitioner and academic hybrid kind of system that we have. So typically for more classes taught by academics that are like more kind of like theory based, you'll get a lot more reading assignments and stuff like that that you have to do every week before class. But then also on the practitioner side, you'll get a lot of like more in-class things that you'll do, or different kind of writing styles. And so the one thing that I kind of noticed is that the homework load is definitely, I wouldn't say it's necessarily harder than undergrad. You just have to learn how to do it differently, because you have to learn how to like skim readings and like get as much material as you can out of it, in order to be best prepared for class. But also on the flip side of that, you'll have some assignments where you'll do a writing assignment that will be like a very long paper, like 15 pages. But you'll also have assignments for more like practitioner based that they're more trying to give you a sense of what you're going to be doing in the real world. And a lot of what you do in the real world is like very, we call it bluff, bottom line up front writing. So it's a lot shorter writing, like one pagers or things like that, or very short, like brief stuff, presentations, things like that. So there's a lot of variety, I think, in the homework load and the assignments that you get. But I think they do a very good job with that practitioner and academic element of kind of coming together to make it very synchronized in a way that like really facilitates your learning in an effective way. But also just I think the faculty expectations and the relationships part of it is we have very small class sizes compared to a lot of undergrads. You're not in a giant lecture hall. like you would be in a lot of the undergrad classes here at A&M. Like you'll typically, I have a class as small as 8 people, and I have classes as big as like 20, 25 people. And you never feel like you're like disconnected from anyone or from the faculty. They're very good about like always having the doors open. Like they're very accessible. Even in just like our lounge area, you can always just kind of go and say hi to them or if you have a question for them. So they're very accessible. As far as the professional mentality stuff, and I'll ask Lauren and Allie to kind of give their opinions on this stuff as well. Professional mentality and the time management, I think that's a big piece of what we do really effectively here. Is for me, I was 21 years old when I was looking at graduating undergrad, and I knew I was not ready to go into the real world for that, and I knew no one would hire me. So being in an environment where you have a huge like mix of people with a wide variety of experiences. I have classmates that just got out of undergrad, and I have classmates that are 40, 50 years old with kids and a family, and they're going back to school to change their career, but they've had a ton of experience in the real world. So I think being able to build those professional relationships, regardless of experience level or age or anything like that, is a really this environment really facilitates that in grad school, and it's much more friendly. Like everybody's very friendly with each other. There's a lot of mutual respect that goes on, and I think that's a really beautiful part of grad school that you wouldn't necessarily see in undergrad. Is these professional relationships, these people that you're going to go on to work with in the real world. You actually are building these personal relationships with them now, which is like very important to me. Talking about, and then obviously like we wear business casual at a minimum, and like you'll dress up for presentations and things like that, and I think that also facilitates that environment as well, that you'll probably see kind of going into your internship between your summers. But as far as time management goes, like yes, it is, it's grad school, so it is intense, but you kind of learn how to step up to that level. The first few weeks that you're here as a student, you're kind of learning like how to read, how to block out your time. Like people are very, I guess I'll say calculated with their time here. Like if you look at like anybody's like Google Calendar or something like that, they have like every block of time set out for like this class, or I'm meeting with this person at this time, and things like that. So it really teaches you a lot of time management skill and efficiency here. And I think everybody's very supportive of each other in that, and learning those skills. And professors are also extremely understanding that they're not your only class that you have. So they know how to get what they want you to learn to you without overbearing you. And so it is kind of just an adjustment period, but it's certainly manageable. Thousands of people have done it before you. Thousands of people will do it after you. I promise. Like it's not nearly as bad. But Lauren and Allie, what do you guys kind of have to say about this stuff?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think like part of the biggest difference is that professional mentality. Maybe depending on what your experience was, there were a lot of people who they were getting a undergraduate degree because that's just what kind of was expected for them. But everybody here is committed and we all wanted this. And so it just adds to the caliber of people around you. I've not had group projects run so smoothly before. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like you'll still have issues. That's normal. But because everyone's there with the mindset of, I want to get this done, it makes things easier. And you all understand that like you're there for the heart of public service and you just want to help the world. So I would say that's probably the biggest difference. You learn the time management. There's going to be stuff like that that can stress you out, but understanding that everyone's going through it together also helps and creates those friendships. And like Adam said, the faculty make themselves very available. And so if you're ever like stressed out, they're also there and they will also, most of them will respond to you about any time of day, just to help out.
Yeah, I think you guys covered that really well. The sense of community I think we have here at the Bush School, and the sense that everybody wants to be here, everybody's here to help, in the sense that everybody kind of knows everyone. So if you're going to be a person who slacks off during group projects, that's something that other people will take note of. So because of that community, in the sense that everybody's here for a purpose and it's to learn, to gain more knowledge, I think everybody works really, really hard. And that's something that I don't think you see a lot in other universities or in undergraduate programs.
Okay, so capstone. So capstone, if you don't really know, is kind of something that we do to kind of replace the thesis in a lot of graduate programs. So it's basically you work for a client on a project with a team of people. I'm not currently in one, but I know that Allie and Lauren currently are, so they can speak a little bit more to it. But like you said, like it's a pretty small team size that you'll do, and you'll typically for MIAs you'll do it in the fall or spring of your second year, and then for the essays it's a year long, so you typically do it your second year. I think you can only do your second year actually, but basically it's just our way of like creating a like practical exercise for you to create a product for a client that would be very applicable and relevant to the real world rather than just talking like in a thesis about doing some kind of research. I'll let Lauren and Allie talk a little bit more about these questions down here about their topics and like why they chose it and how they what their experience is like it and just what they think about the capstone program.
Cool. I'll cover the IA side of it pretty quickly. So for IAs, most of the time you're going to do it. It's a semester-long based group project, and it's going to be during your spring semester. I'm doing mine in the fall because I'm graduating in the fall, but normally we offer at least 2 to 3 capstones to choose from during the fall. So for example, my client for my capstone is the FBI, and we're working on Russian proxies for them. That's just kind of an example of an IA type of capstone that you would see. I think it's pretty common. The other capstone that's happening right now for the IAs is Baltic Naval Security, and they're working with Latvia. Their capstone will actually be going on an international trip to Latvia to meet the president of Latvia to present their capstone research. So all this is very high impact stuff that looks beautiful on resumes, in my opinion, as opposed to, just writing a 50-page thesis and having that one little line that says you did some research. So I think capstones are really, really impactful. They can get you jobs. Specifically for my capstone with the Bureau, Professor Howell, he's the one who's in charge of our capstone and our liaison between us and the Bureau. They're very good about encouraging us to, when we go to DC to present our capstone, that if we would like a position within that agency, then certainly there are ways we can get that. So that's just another one of the benefits of capstones, I think, over doing a thesis for sure. My capstone's about 7 people. We're doing a written report and an oral report. Yeah, the clients mirrors the same sectors as our internship and employment list. So if we wanted an internship at the Bureau as well, that's something we could definitely do based off of how well we do in our capstone. Wasn't super a big choice for me. They said Russian proxies. I was like, perfect. This lines up perfectly with my interests. Love it. Good to go. The experience so far has been great. I have been blessed with an amazing group of people to work with. And any past class reference. I think specifically this Russia one has built upon my European concentration for sure. But the experience has been awesome. It is stressful. It's a high workload, right? You're not just working for yourself for your own grade, you're working for your team and for others. So it's important that you really step up to plate and put in the work. But when it's as interesting as Russian proxies for the FBI, how can you not kind of like want to do it? So that's my example from the IA side, but Ali can talk a little bit more about the essay capstones.
Yeah, so just because ours is a year long, it's a little bit different. So you hear about like all the capstones the spring of your first year, and then you do the preference process. And I selected mainly off of professors I wanted to work with. There was some level of, okay, wait, I think this is actually more interesting, but it was more of what professor do I know is going to match my style and what I would prefer in that sense. And so I got into the capstone with our department head, and we're working with the Congressional Research Service. And so that's just been really great because it's been getting to see that higher level of research that Congress is interested in. He keeps telling us, okay, now when you're done developing this database, here's how we're going to use it to help Congress think about new amendments for this particular act. And so like Lauren said, because you see like that client, it drives you to work harder. And while still what I appreciate about capstone is it's a safe space to make mistakes, and you're learning about how this job works while still in school. And there's your professor there to help you out of like, okay, now here's how this should go. So it's been really wonderful, but ours is just a little more slow moving. So we're spending this semester just working on data, and then next semester we'll write our report and then deliver it to the Congressional Research Service. And then in terms of my class, the quant has been our most important class to know. We've been dealing with Stata a lot. Don't let that make you afraid of Stata either. They teach you if that's what you need. But on the essay side, because there's so many broad interests, it's also important just knowing that things overlap. We have like nonprofit specific capstones, some for federal government, some local government, and they try to make it work for you.
Okay, so kind of moving into talking a little bit about student resources here. I know that I think something that I feel very blessed by the Bush School is that just a plethora of resources that we have with things like having a significant amount of the professors will never even make you buy a textbook because they just have all this stuff online in PDF form on Course Reserve. So you save a ton of money on that, and it's very accessible all the time. So things like that. Talking about like language tutoring that we'll do, especially for the IAs who have to pass that language exam in order to graduate. So getting tutoring from that, getting support like a Rosetta Stone account, things of that nature. We also have a writing program because you kind of learn how to write differently here in grad school compared to undergrad, like I talked earlier with the bottom line up front. So we have a really, really great staff for that can help out with that. Additionally, there's a bunch of different institutes and centers that will kind of put on different kind of different events. So they'll bring a lot of people in as like very high level people to talk about like current issues going on with the United States and the world. And additionally, there's also some like employment options like that. So like for the economic statecraft program, I know Allie and I both worked for that for a while, and so that was a really great resource as well. There's also the Medal of Excellence program, which is kind of like our leadership program. And a lot of that goes into kind of teaching like leadership lessons and also kind of like building your portfolio, e-portfolio on that and things like that. So that's another great resource as well. Those speakers that we come in these conferences that we have, like I know that we have a Women in Intelligence conference where we bring in a ton of like very prolific women in intelligence that are just like so phenomenal to talk to and like such a really cool event to have. I've really, really enjoyed that. The two times I've been able to go to that, and but we constantly have people coming in and doing events and talking about these really, really important issues and giving their perspective, like very high level people. And so a lot of that also kind of helps with the networking and things like that. The big thing with Texas A&M and the Bush School that I'll say is the network is very, very, very strong. Being an Aggie is a really big deal, especially because the kind of the saying goes is that the biggest population of Aggies outside of College Station, Texas, is Washington, D.C. I will tell you from personal experience this summer, that is absolutely true. I constantly was running into Aggies and people associated with it. I had 8 Aggies on my floor at work alone. So the alumni network is very, very strong, and we really like to take care of each other. I think that's something that is kind of intangible to Texas A&M, an intangible benefit to Texas A&M that you can't necessarily just find out like looking at statistics and things like that on a website. But Aggies really do take care of Aggies, and that network is very, very, very strong. And you will encounter a ton of Aggies wherever you end up working, whether it's state and local government or nonprofit or government agencies or even like politics. So that's another thing as well. International travel, we do have some programs, some reciprocal exchange programs for that. Uh, that's if that's something that you're interested. Additionally, over the summer, between your first and second year for IAs, if you can, I believe there's the option to also go do a critical language immersion. So I know some people who did that. There's people who have gone to like Japan or Spain or Korea or Singapore or like all this kind of stuff to do critical language immersions. So that's definitely another opportunity as well. But I think I've kind of had a lot of interactions with a lot of these programs, but I think the most helpful for me has been just the speakers and the conferences that we put on, and just how impactful that is to just hear from senior leaders in the United States and outside of the United States too, actually, on their perspectives on these world issues going on and how we as future public servants are going to be contributing to fixing those problems and providing solutions. Additionally, I think the language assistance programs are really, really, really good in getting you a good base on a language, especially if you did like a language in undergrad and you kind of fell off a little bit and you kind of want to pick it up back up again. But yeah, I'll let Allie and Lauren talk a little bit about their experiences with this stuff as well.
Yeah, I think you summed that up pretty beautifully. Just an example of some of the speakers that have visited the Bush School, because I think your first thought, right? College Station, Texas. Who's going to come here? You'd be surprised. Being here at A&M at the Bush School, I've met the Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines, and the Secretary of the Air Force, to name a few people who have come down here and been generous enough to talk to Bush School students. They're not just here giving briefs either. They're like interacting with us. We're able to ask questions, got lunch with Secretary of the Air Force, some pretty cool stuff that happens. And then the international travel, I think, is another big one. For example, my internship this summer, I got to go to Stuttgart, Germany to intern with a U.S. European Command. So just some incredible resources and pull that we have here that I don't think you're going to see a lot of other places.
I agree. And even like in terms of speakers and conferences, not only those that like come here, but some departments will provide scholarships to go to other conferences too. So I had a friend who just went to the local city managers conference. In November, I'm going to go to the policy analysis and managers conference. And so they'll even pay a portion of conference fees to go out and attend things and bring that knowledge back here to the Bush School. I'll always talk up the writing program. I think the Bush School specifically has a really great writing program. We have our own that's separate from main campus because they know what your professors want, and particularly that government writing that Adam was talking about. It's very unique, and if you haven't done it before, it takes time to learn. And so that is probably one of the most helpful for me.
Okay, so internship and career services. So you do have a kind of in between your first and second year, you do have a required professional internship. It can be domestic, like I was in DC, and like Lauren said, she was in Germany. But also the MIA students do have the option to do that language immersion that I talked about earlier. And then we also do provide some funding if you end up doing a unpaid internship. So we'll do that through like some required career workshops that we'll do in the fall. They're very actually really great resources. I learned a lot from them and used a lot of like the resume tips and the networking and stuff like that in real life. So it is very applicable. So it's kind of a dual benefit if you end up doing an unpaid internship. But the internships are really, really, really good things to have on your resume. We have a ton of resources through career services to find you internships and then also get you connected with people who want Bushies and they want Aggies to go and work for them. And very, very, very often you'll see people who will go and do an internship over the summer, and they'll actually have like pretty much a guaranteed job offer from that internship when they move when they graduate. Like for me, for example, like I already have an opportunity to go back where I worked this summer if I so choose, and so that's a really cool thing to have that kind of security and peace, knowing that you're wanted by someone that you already worked for. And they already know you, so that's another thing as well. So for career advising and assistance, so we do have some career staff as well as like the faculty assistants, like I said, a lot of these people are very, very well connected. The faculty, particularly from previous jobs, if they're practitioners, especially, very, very well connected and will definitely help you out and find a job. That's kind of I think, a very special thing for Aggies as well, is we very, very, very much like to help each other get jobs, particularly if you reach out to Aggies who are working at a place that you want to work at. And say, hey, I'm an Aggie. I want to work here. Like, can you tell me about what you do and like get me set up with something? That's a very, very common occurrence, I promise. So that's something that's very unique to A&M, I believe, is that, like I said, that kind of that Aggie network and then alumni base. And so you'll kind of see like the employment rates that we have are between like 86 and 99% yearly within that 6 months of graduation. So you said for the past couple of years, SA at 96%, I at 97%, you're going to find a job. I will tell you that there are lists that get sent out very often of just tons and tons of job opportunities, and you're bound to find something that you like. If you're not already working on it already, a lot of people will come in with a very particular kind of view on what they want to end up doing when they graduate, and then they'll come here and realize just how many opportunities there are, particularly within like state and local government or like nonprofit, as well as like federal government agencies that they didn't even know existed. And I think that's another really cool thing, that just the amount of people that we bring in very often, like pretty much every day during our lunch period that we have between our morning and afternoon class blocks, we'll have like employers come in and do presentations and interface with you, and you can ask them questions and introduce yourself and make connections on that basis. So if you have like, for example, let's say like drug enforcement agency or something like that, or FBI comes in and they're doing a presentation and you really, really want to work for one of them, go to one of those. You get to learn about what they offer and like some job opportunities there, and then you can interface with them, get their card, reach out to them, and start that employment kind of that process because people really, really, really do like to hire from the Bush School, and because we create great products and great students and great public servants, especially. So, and like I kind of said earlier, those career sectors do include like federal government, politics, but they also include like international organizations, nonprofits, NGOs, contractors, private, like a ton of different areas. And whether you want to stay in Texas or you want to go to DC or you want to go overseas, like there's definitely an opportunity for there, and there's a ton of, and basically the skills that you're going to be learning through your classes are extremely marketable and very, very sought after. So kind of like I said earlier, Lauren and Allie, if you want to talk about like career workshops or if you like met with career staff one-on-one that like helped you kind of like tailor a resume to a certain job. And then also, I know you guys kind of talked about it a little bit already, but your internship or like language study.
Yeah, I think one thing I'm constantly impressed by at the Bush School is how hard these people work to get you a job. You could come in here not even wanting a job, and you'd find yourself with one anyways because Michael Cochran has like put in so much work to make sure you have the resources you need to get the job you want. Just an insane amount of work that's put in on your behalf to make sure that by the time you're graduating, you have something waiting for you on the other end through all of these programs, through the internship requirement, the language requirement, the career advising, the assistance, all of it is out there for you to improve you to make you look better to employers. um yeah, that's exactly, we have so much stuff for you.
Yeah, I was up in DC this summer. I was at the EPA, working in their chief financial officer's office. And that was really, it was a great experience. There was an Aggie in my office as well. But I think also the Aggie network showed, just while I was there, I had so many Aggies reach out to me going, "Oh, you're in DC. Let me connect you with this other Aggie." And so while I was working in the federal government, I was still meeting with people who were at think tanks or on the Hill, or any other possible job that you could imagine. People just want to help you out. And so the career staff are also a portion of the Bush School that I will always praise. They're really great. They are so kind and will take as much time as you need to figure out whatever you need. So I think that the Bush School would definitely make sure that you're well set, whether that's an internship or full-time career.
I'm going to take a moment and comment just for the perspective of the international students, because we're often asked what we can do to help them. I will say there's some limitations, right? International students, you're not going to be able to find the variety of federal government jobs that many of our international affairs students are looking for. You're just not going to be able to get into those fields. Can you do that same thing in your home country? Yes. Many of them are utilizing those connections. Here, if you're wanting to stay in the US, you're going to have find somebody through that private sector who's willing to sponsor, and that's a lot harder to do. So while our career staff are here to support and help as much as we can, there is a little bit more limitation in being able to connect you for jobs in the US. So many times you are going to have to utilize your own resources and connections, talk with the faculty, see what they can do. Many of them do go back and find great employment, whether in the nonprofit or in the government sector, at all levels. So we will work with you. Just don't expect it necessarily to be here in the US. All right, so let's go to student groups.
All right, student groups. So tons of involvement, not only just at the Bush School, but also at A&M in general. And so you'll get a wide variety of like kind of co-ed stuff, but also like co-PSA and IA stuff. And so what you'll get is a lot of different things that are tailored to a lot of different interests, right? So you'll get things like student government associations. So that's kind of like taking care of like all the students here, and they do a lot of really, really cool things. And it's separate from the main campus and the undergrad student government association. And I think it's good that it's a lot smaller because that's a really cool opportunity to get some like practical experience and stuff like that, and like serving like constituencies and things of that nature. But then also things like public service organization, like again, like Bush School is very, very focused on creating public servants. I mean, that's like we quote George H.W. Bush all the time on stuff he says, quotes on that. And so that's another thing as well. And then we also have like a lot of the essay side has a lot of like very cool niche stuff, like doing like working with like NGOs and organizations with that, like county management, city management, fundraising, like you can kind of see here. And then also we'll do some like philanthropic stuff or kind of like service to like the Bush School specifically. So you kind of see that with Ambassadors Council. And so what they do is a lot is they work with like a lot of the speakers that will come in. They'll give like tours, they'll talk to like donors, things like that. So very cool way to give back to the Bush School specifically. And then also kind of on the IA side, we'll do things. You'll have organizations like Alexander Hamilton Society that will be more focused towards like policy and diplomacy and things like that. So you get a really good, really basis on that. And then you also have things like the Ready Room, which Lauren and I are both in. So that's a little bit more focused towards like intelligence professionals looking to kind of go into the intelligence community. So we do a lot of things like podcasts, we'll do like speaker events, we'll do a lot of articles and things like that. And so that's kind of a cool basis for people to have a resource into that kind of sphere because it is not like a super wide public thing. And that's kind of a place that all of the kind of aspiring intelligence professionals can go get together and kind of have their group to kind of develop that. We also, it's just a really good, I think a lot of these organizations as well are just really good friend groups and a way to get plugged into a group of people that have similar interests to you that you are, like I said kind of earlier, extremely likely to go forward into your professional career and work with at some point. And and kind of Lauren alluded to it earlier a little bit. Everybody knows each other here. And I think that's a really cool thing with these organizations as well is that you are in class with these people and then you go and do an org with them, and so you kind of get to see different sides of them and work with them in different ways, and then also interact with people that you might not necessarily have class with all the time. Another big thing that I want to talk about, and I know Lauren's really big into this, is intramurals in the athletics that we have here. We have a really, really cool program for that. We do tons of intramurals, tons of athletic events all the time. Bushies really, really love to get out and blow off some steam by playing some sports, doing intramurals. And that's a really cool way to kind of get away from class and get away from like that professional environment that's all just work, 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 and have a little bit of play and have a little bit of fun. Um, and I think that's a really cool thing too. We also do some cool events with sports at the Bush School as well. But going and talking about A&M in general with the student orgs, we do have over 1,000 student orgs at A&M. I'm still involved with a few more kind of undergrad related student organizations. So A&M is a very big school with a lot of traditions and a lot of things going on. So you can find whatever kind of niche club that you want on main campus. You are not restricted as a graduate student from being in those clubs. I'm a second year graduate student and I still do like all that stuff. And it's not like I have no restrictions. Like I'm just a normal member of those orgs. So like I said, very, very, very wide array of things that you can get involved in. I would highly recommend getting involved in at least one thing here to kind of diversify yourself and kind of build that base and that network and that friend group and definitely participate in athletics and intramurals if that's something that you're interested in as well, because it's a really cool experience and a good way to blow off steam from your classes. So, but I'll let Allie and Lauren kind of talk about their experiences with their groups and things like that.
Yeah, I think you covered the two that I'm in, the Ready Room and all the intramural sports we do here. But it's a very much a work hard, play hard community. I think a lot of us, it's easy to get bogged down in the readings and kind of get a little sad because you have so much to do. But just remember to get out there and have fun with your friends. And there's so many different ways to do that. I love going out playing soccer with my friends and then going to the football games on the weekend. Just a great sense of community, a way to relax and take a deep breath and not think about international affairs for like 2 seconds. It's great. So I would highly suggest doing that.
Yeah, I'm in SGA, so I've been doing that this year. But also I think the other thing I'll say is just that if you feel like there's a gap or something, I know several people have started orgs here at the Bush School. Like my roommate, she was part of founding an IDEP focused org. And so I know there's also like women, peace, and security. So if there's something that's more niche that you're interested to, it's likely that somebody else has thought of it as well. And faculty love sponsoring these orgs and getting involved with the students in that capacity as well.
Okay, so talking a little bit about living in Bryan and College Station. So I'd say there's a lot of housing options in the area, right? And so you can kind of tailor it to what you're kind of looking for. So I'd say a lot of people that I know like to stay kind of as close to the Bush School as they can. I'm personally like 2, 3 minutes away, just because I don't want to have to go across the train tracks and get stopped by the train if I'm trying to make it to class. But there's a ton of housing. It is a college town, so that is kind of what they're used to serving is students. And then I would also say, kind of going forward, talking about transportation, tons of the bus system here is phenomenal. I used to take the bus every single day for several years from main campus. It's super easy to get over to the Bush School from main campus, and then from the Bush School to back to main campus if you park there, or you have some kind of meeting you're going to do, or you want to go over there to study or something like that. There's also a lot of buses that will run around town to a lot of the areas where a lot of the housing is and pick you up, and then you just take the bus to the Bush School. Additionally, there's also ways to get to like grocery stores and things like that just using the bus system. I'd say transportation wise, it is a big town, so there are a lot of cars, so the traffic can get pretty intense sometimes. But a lot of people will use their bike. The bike system is really good here. It's not like a super metropolitan like DC kind of city, so it's very accessible with things like bikes and things like that. And I've never really felt like I've had a problem kind of getting around. There's definitely a lot of you don't need to have a car. I think is the big thing. But tons of stuff going on for local entertainment in Bryan College Station. Like Bryan has a ton of stuff going on in downtown Bryan where you can go, and it's kind of like what you think like a downtown would be. Like you just walk along the streets and like go window shopping and things like that. We have things like obviously sports is a really big deal for A&M, so going to like football games and stuff like that on Saturdays is a huge tradition, and going and tailgating. And then also like there's a ton of different, like Century Square over on the north side of campus also has a ton of events going on. They'll play live music a lot and might have a nice kind of grass area to go and hang out with. But there's definitely a lot of things to do in College Station if you look for it. And I think that's the thing is you have to kind of look for it. Tons of parks and things like that. If you want to go play ultimate frisbee at a park, there's like 6 of them you can do. If you want to go walk your dog, if you want to go run, if you want to, there's it's pretty much the world is a limit. You just have to get on Google Maps or get on Google and look up like, hey, closest place to do this. As far as holding a part-time job goes, I will say I don't know if Lauren has a job right now, but obviously Allie and I do. This is my job, so it's very manageable. I think again that kind of comes down to that time management piece of learning kind of to step up to that and learn how to be efficient with your time and what you're doing. So it is certainly possible to have a part-time job. Not everybody always works for the university or on campus. A lot of people work off campus as well, but there's tons of opportunity for that, like any normal college town. The cost of living, I'd say, is really good. The biggest thing I have to compare it to is DC, and I will say that my rent here is a quarter of what it is in DC this summer. And I have a way nicer place here, and I lived in a basement in DC. So, cost of living is very, very, very low, I would say. And it kind of depends on proximity and where you're finding it. If you go to a place like that's typically serving like college students that has like a pool and like a gym and all that, like it might be a little bit more expensive. But there's a ton. It's very, very manageable and a lot of people get houses together and things like that. So I say the cost of living is very, very accessible and definitely low. Just kind of, especially compared to a lot of areas in Texas. Uh, as far as the proximity of major metro areas, College Station is unique in that it kind of sits in the middle of like 3 very big metropolitan areas um, in Texas, right? So if you go like drive like an hour and a half southeast, you can get to Houston. And if you go 2 hours to your west, you can go to Austin. 3 hours to your north, you can get to Dallas. So if you want to go and do something in those towns, my roommate like goes to Austin all the time. I think he's been to Austin like 3 times this semester already. So it's very nice that it's kind of in the middle of all those areas. So if you need to fly out somewhere and like fly out of Houston, very accessible to get to Houston. They even have a ground shuttle service that will take you from College Station to the Houston airport and pick you up, and then you can also take it back if you don't have a car and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of really great resources if you look for it and if you know it. And that's kind of part of the community is you can always ask people and that's how I learned a lot of this stuff as well. But I'll kind of let Lauren and Allie give their opinions on some of the stuff and like how their housing situation is, what they think of College Station. And then Allie obviously with her jobs and yeah.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add here. You covered it all pretty well. But Al, if you want to talk about balancing, your full-time grad student load with your capstone with 2 full-time jobs, crazy. Go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely not full-time jobs. I'm a GAR here with A&M, so that's 20 hours a week. And then I also work still part-time with the EPA. And so I'm kind of keeping that relationship with them so I can convert to full-time with them in the summer. So you find whatever works for you. There are a lot of part-time jobs, both on campus and off campus, that are available. Last year, I was working online for a nonprofit that is based in DC. And some of that, you even notice the cost of living. Like I was getting DC pay, but paying College Station prices, and that was really great. So it's really, again, my only comparison is DC. College Station is pretty great. I've lived here. This is my 6th year now. And I've paid anywhere from like $5.25 all the way up to like $7.50. So it just depends on whatever works for you, if you have roommates or not. But it's really not bad at all.
I'm sorry, did we cover everything on there? Do I need to move the next slide?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay. So you're basically wrapping up at this point. Anything you wish you knew earlier? Then I'll stop the recording in a moment after you guys finish giving your last advice, and we'll see if anyone's got questions they want to ask us kind of on camera.
Okay. I'll let Allie and Lauren answer this question first. See what they think. Anything you wish you knew earlier?
I'm not super sure about anything I wish I knew earlier, but whatever specific questions for those people in the Zoom have for us, I mean, I think it'd be best if we save our time to answer those for you guys.
No, I agree. I think for me, it was the thinking piece. Like I spent a lot of time thinking on what I'm learning and just building that into my time management. But really, you jump in, you have a good support system, and you figure it out. So I would definitely am up to opening up to questions, unless Adam, you have some thoughts.
Yeah, I'd just say use your community, use your resources. Only thing I wish I knew earlier is how much I'd love it compared to undergrad, and I liked my undergrad here at A&M. So, but I'm looking forward to answering you guys' questions.
Okay, so what I'll do right now is go ahead and stop the recording. So thank you guys. And what we'll do is just start lining up. If anyone has some questions, I can start answering some of the ones dropped in the chat verbally. And then we'll also be able to let you guys unmute. So give me 1 second and I will stop recording. Thank you guys all for joining us and for asking these questions in the chat that I've been busy with this whole time. So this has been great.